Oh, there is such a thing as too much coffee. Hello there, you little demons. Jules here for WhatCulture.com, back again with another episode of the awesomely named and awfully hosted Choose Your Own Adventure, the weekly medieval-themed format where I, the crown jewels of WhatCulture.com, take a list chosen by you. Yes, you, the person who decided it'd be a good idea this morning to just basically chain 4 coffees back to back, and I'm having the come down of my life, my friend. Think post-festival come down. Ooh. Yes, you get to decide what list I dole out to you each and every week, and this week we have none other to thank than Renderus89 for their suggestion of video games that required you to play through them again and again and again in order to get the full experience. Now, generally speaking, once you roll credits on a game, it's safe to close the thing down and just move on with your life. But you know what? There are certainly glaring exceptions to that rule, because some games pack so much worthwhile, even necessary content into their New Game Plus modes that you're actually depriving yourself of the true experience if you don't bother sticking around for another few playthroughs. So let's chat about some games to force you to roll up your sleeves and get down and dirty and go round after round with them. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 7 video games that require multiple playthroughs for the true experience. And you know the drill by now. Put your suggestions for next week's episode down in the comments section below. But with that in mind, let's get on with that, shall we? Yes, we should. The 5th coffee is now kicking in. Let's go, baby. Number 7, Nier Automata, Potato Patata. Come on, you've earned it. So let's kick things off with perhaps the gold standard of games which outright need you to play through them numerous times, because rolling credits once on Nier Automata Potato Patata just will not cut it, as players require a minimum of 3 playthroughs to experience every sliver of story that this has to offer. Once you've beaten the game as Android Protagonist 2B, you'll then be able to witness the same events from the perspective of fellow Android 9S, which, given the duo are separated for large chunks of the story, ensures that there's a wealth of new content, and 9S also plays quite differently as well. But then there's another playthrough after that with another brand new android called Piece of Paper, or A2 to her friends, of which she doesn't have many because she just likes cutting everyone in half. And playing through all of this is necessary to unlock Nier Automata Potato Patata's true ending, Ending E, ensuring that those who jump off after 2B's initial campaign, well really, they're only seeing a third of the story. Number 6, Ico. Now, Team Ico's video game Ico, was a bit presumptuous of them to name that after themselves, wasn't it? But I digress here. Was a story which saw you take the role of a very horny boy. And no, I don't mean that he's covered in smut or delving deep into portions of the internet that should remain uncovered. No, he's just a horny thing with horns on his head. Get your mind out of the gutter. Now, most of the game sees you try to escape an abandoned castle alongside a captive girl named Yorda, and due to Yorda's limited physical abilities, players must help her traverse the castle by providing boosts and manipulating the environment. Shadow creatures will also attempt to drag Yorda away if you leave her unaccompanied for any amount of time, so you need to be constantly watching and assisting. Or if you want to be a bit mean about it, babysitting. Let's just say what it is babysitting. Yet the ultimate expression of Ico's gameplay is only unfurled once the game has been completed. And that's because the European and Japanese versions of this game unlock a brand new feature, and that is to play through the entire game again in co-op mode. That's a pretty big addition, right? Granted, she is still subject to all of the physical limitations that her CPU counterpart is, but allowing another human to take control of her adds an undeniable visceral quality to the gameplay, especially if playing with a loved one or perhaps even somebody who isn't terribly experienced with video games. Because who doesn't love babysitting a video game character when it's controlled by your younger sibling? Punchworthy. Number 5, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Okay, so this is going to sound a bit like an elitist gamer moment, but I truly believe, and I think with my tiny rat brain, that the only way to truly play Final Fantasy VII's amazing remake is on hard mode, which you only get by completing the game once. Hard mode isn't just the base game, but more challenging. It inherently reshapes the way in which you play, in turn delivering an experience more akin to classic old-school Final Fantasy titles. Beyond enemies simply being more difficult, they've also got new attack patterns, but most crucially, you're not allowed to use items, and rest points can only be used to replenish HP, not MP. Basically, hard mode sets out very early on that magic is something to be used, but only sparingly, and that you should save these all-powerful attacks, which, let's face it, should really be only used in direst of circumstances to obliterate tougher enemies or saved for bosses. Whereas in the other version of this game, you're just kind of like, yeah, I'm just going to spam everything. Yeah, like that. bit for you as well. Didn't think I saw you behind that bush, but you are dead now. In comparison to the more casual-friendly lower difficulties, hard mode absolutely feels like the way that Square Enix wants you to play this game. Number 4, The Quiet Man. Right, okay, so it would actually be a little too easy for me to just talk about good games on this list, so let's deal with the absolute clanger that is The Quiet Man. The Quiet Man is a cinematic beat-em-up with an intriguing, albeit poorly executed hook. To immerse players in the world of its deaf protagonist, both the gameplay and FMV cutscenes have minimal audio and no subtitles. Yet, this ultimately resulted in an experience more confusing than entertaining for most. Even if you could forgive the frankly atrocious combat, figuring out what the hell was going on was an absolute chore, and something that few were actually compelled to commit much thought to. But a week after the game's release, the developers of the game actually added in a special feature that could only be unlocked if you had already completed the game once, and that was to, drumroll please Dan, add the audio back into the game, making it just a generic beat-em-up. I mean, admittedly, it doesn't sound great, does it? And it wasn't, but at the same time, at least you understood what the f*** was going on in the game, so thanks, but also boo, you've undone your one intriguing premise. Number 3, Astro Boy Omega Factor. So much like Nier Automata, Potato Patata, Astro Boy Omega Tractor Orange Tractor is a game that requires you to play through the game multiple times because, well, it's damn near essential that you do. After defeating the final boss, and there are heavy air quotation marks around that, Dan, add a few more of them. One more. No, take that one away. That was too much. That was overkill. Players are met with a sudden bummer of an ending, where Astro is killed by a device known as the Death Mask and allows the villain to conquer Earth. But after this, players are revived by an entity known as Phoenix, presenting Astro with the ability to travel back in time to the start of the game and get another chance at victory. This back half of the game is called Rebirth and allows you to play through all of the levels again in pursuit of a more fortuitous outcome against the Death Mask, in turn unlocking the real happy ending. So basically, if you just finish the game once, Astro's dead. That's it. Credits have rolled. Fantastic experience. Did you have fun? No? Why are you crying? That's on you, apparently, because you didn't play the Rebirth section and actually get the happy ending. Obviously. Number 2, Starfield. Now, Starfield may be one of 2023's most polarizing games to date, but Bethesda deserves a measure of credit for coming up with a new Game Plus mode which ties directly into the story itself in a rather amusingly meta way. You see, at the end of the game, players are given a choice. And there are massive spoiler warning things here and over there, some over here too. Can't forget about this one, so are we ready? Let's do it. And the choice is either to continue exploring the universe or become a Starborn, leaving their universe behind forever and entering another one, allowing them to basically restart the game in a parallel universe. Those who become a Starborn will retain their levels, powers and skills, but items, side mission progress and character relationships will all be wiped out, giving you the opportunity to approach the game from a whole new perspective. And this is actually brilliant because now you get to play through the game with the knowledge of what your previous run was, but also feel like it's a continuation of your character's evolving storyline. So you can go into it and think to yourself, oh, I didn't make that choice last time because I was afraid of the outcome. Now I don't really care. I've already done it once. That universe is fine. Let's absolutely mess up this one. But if you just quit out after a first playthrough, you won't get to experience any of this. And number 1, Chrono Trigger. And finally, we come to the legendary RPG Chrono Trigger, which basically popularized the idea of a new Game Plus mechanic. So it's definitely worth talking about. You see, Chrono Trigger contains a stonking 13 endings of varying complexity and are unlocked depending on choices made throughout the game and especially how the player reaches the game's final boss, Lavos. Now, after beating the game once and most likely getting stomped by Lavos, you'll quickly unlock New Game Plus, where you'll be able to restart the game with your levels and equipment carrying over to take another pop at the alien parasite. But the real kicker here, though, is that you can fight Lavos anytime you fancy. So if you go through and you're just like, I reckon I can do that again, you can go back to when he's sort of not as all-encompassing in terms of his power and scope and just go, hey, little wee bug boy, I'm going to stomp you. You can basically reenact that amazing moment in Dragon Ball Z where future Trunks goes back into his own reality and basically just goes, hey, Cell, heard you were talking shit. Boom! Dead, mate. Squished like a bug. Here's the windscreen wiper, getting you rid of it. Bye. Beating this game once and moving on is denying yourself the joy of hoovering up all of these different endings, and some are just absolutely outstanding and others are just absolutely hilarious. Chrono Trigger pioneered the very idea of repeat playthroughs being integral to the fabric of the story, rather than simply something that the most obsessive fans only aim for. And there we go, my friends. Those were 8 video games that took multiple playthroughs to experience everything in full. Or a different title, I've completely butchered that right there. But let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below anyway, as well as your suggestions for next week's episode. And if you want to chat to me further on the social medias, here are all my tags over here, and you can follow my lovely editor Dan over here as well. What a legend he be! But before I go, I just want to say one thing. Even though we spoke today about video games that have multiple playthroughs, you only get one shot at this thing called life, my friend. So I want you to have a bloody good ride all the way from start to finish. So treat yourself with love and respect and pass that inner love onto your neighbor as well. Make sure that they are feeling supported and loved too. Because trust me, the only way we're going to get through this entire thing together and have a happy experience is together, okay? As always, I've been Jules, you have been awesome, you massive ledge, and I'll be speaking to you very soon. In fact, it'll probably be next Tuesday, hence the name of the show. Good one, Jules. Bye. I think I've gone insane. See you later.